New York City in one day, how much can you actually see? I challenged myself to explore as much as possible, covering 28,000 steps, so if you've only got a single day to explore, here's a speedrun of the best spots in New York City. Hi, my name is Lola. I'm a tattoo apprentice and I flew to New York City to attend a tattoo seminar, but I had an extra day to explore the city, so I did my best to make the most of it. This is my first time solo traveling, and I also decided to stay at a hostel for the first time. Hotels in New York City are obscenely expensive. I just couldn't bring myself to drop so much money on such a short trip. Let's find out if it was worth the savings. After an hour and a half on the subway, I finally made it to the hostel. This is Nolita Express. The location is great. It's in Lower Manhattan near Soho. There's lots of cool stuff within walking distance. I arrived at 9 p.m. and was greeted by friendly staff that helped me check in. I could tell this hostel had a lot of love put into it. All the common areas were beautifully decorated and super cozy. I'm staying on the females only floor for $75 a night. This is cheaper than every single option on Airbnb. The cubbies here all have locked doors, a bed, an outlet, and a coat rack. I was exhausted after traveling all day, so I got ready for bed, set up my outfit for tomorrow, and went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up at 7:15 a.m. to get a head start on the day. It's very cold in New York City right now, 22 Fahrenheit, and snow is on the forecast, so I decided to wear a skiing underlayer beneath my clothes. If you're visiting in the winter, I definitely recommend coming prepared for the weather. For breakfast, I walked over to Flippers. They're known for their delicious souffle pancakes. I showed up right at 8 a.m. when they opened. The interior was very cute and cozy, and I ordered strawberry pancakes. They were delicious, and I loved the cute presentation, but they were very sweet for a breakfast. It felt more like a dessert than anything. Also, here's how the bathroom looked. I'm always curious about that. Next stop, Little Island. I made a map with all the spots I wanted to visit, and this one was a bit out of the way, so I decided to do it first. Little Island is a beautiful floating park over the Hudson River. The subway dropped me off a short walk away, but I get distracted by everything, so I popped into the Starbucks Reserve Roastery on the way. We have one in Seattle too, but I've actually never been. It was very beautiful inside, and all the employees seemed actually happy to be there. They were all very friendly. The Reserve Roasteries sell unique pastries and items you can't buy elsewhere, but I was just interested in taking a quick peek. And there's Little Island. The weather wasn't great, but the water still looked beautiful. I explored the park's views for a bit and then took a seat to chill for a moment. This area actually reminded me a lot of Seattle. Near Little Island, there's a food market called Chelsea Market, reminding me a lot of Pike Place Market that's also right by the pier in Seattle. Next on the agenda is the Museum of Natural History. Let's go. I was quite surprised to show up and see a very long line wrapping all the way around the building. I was mentally preparing to spend an hour in this line, but luckily it moved very quickly. The line was everyone waiting for the museum to open, so I was waiting for less than 10 minutes. I love animals, so I was very excited to see how much of the museum centered around them. This is definitely one of the coolest museums I've ever been to. It's a huge museum with several floors, and I wanted to see it all. Out of all the stops, I definitely ended up spending the most time here. I believe that the majority of these displays are taxidermy. They looked incredibly realistic and were all set up in a very cool natural habitat to give you an idea of how these animals actually live in the wild. You can tell there was a great deal of effort to make every part of this museum visually appealing. I couldn't possibly show you everything in this museum, but here's a peek at some of the exhibits. Even if you didn't read any of the information about what you're looking at, you'd be engaged here. I would definitely put this museum on your list. Such a visually interesting and diverse range of things to look at. We're right next to Central Park now, so let's go explore. It's hard to conceptualize how big Central Park actually is until you try to explore it. It's easy to get lost, so I recommend picking a couple spots to check out rather than aimlessly walking around. I decided to walk to Bethesda Fountain. It wasn't even 12 yet, but my feet were definitely burning, so I took a moment to sit down and relax for a few minutes. The water was starting to freeze over. It looked very pretty. Oh, hey squirrel. Yay, and there's the fountain. I saw on TikTok that there's a lady here that takes photos and prints them out as a newspaper souvenir, so I was looking for her. It's cute, what do you think? I packed a plastic folder with me just so I could bring it to protect this print throughout the day. This area turned out to be very beautiful. The tiles on the walls and ceilings were super pretty. As I kept walking around, I could smell these delicious candied peanuts, so I stopped to get some. Yummy! I used to live in Connecticut, and when I was younger, I would visit New York City with family sometimes, and I remember getting these before, so it was cool to get some again. Okay, next stop, Salon 94, a free art gallery nearby. I could have walked, but I chose the bus to spare my poor feet. The art gallery is free entry and 6 floors, I believe. I think a couple floors might have been closed when I went, but it was very cool regardless. The sculptures inside were very unique and pretty. If you're nearby, it's worth a stop. Even the stairs themselves are beautiful. I took an elevator down, and inside the walls were covered with rugs. Just a 4-minute walk away is a cute hot cocoa shop, Glace. This was my next stop. They have these very Instagrammable drinks, but to my surprise, one small cup was $11 to $15. The cheapskate in me just couldn't do it, so I had to leave. This is what they look like. I didn't really want the drink that bad anyway, it was more for the cute photos, honestly. Okay, next stop, the Met. I walked over to the Met and I realized it was absolutely huge. The line for entry was very long as well, and I just didn't have the energy to walk through another giant museum, so I sat down for a moment to rest. If I had an extra day, I definitely would have come back. When I went back outside, it started to snow, so I hopped on a bus and headed down to 5th Ave. I wanted to see the new Louis Vuitton suitcase building. It really looks like AI, even in person. Such a strange building to be right in the middle of the city. I wanted to go inside, but turns out you actually can't. The real store is across the street, so I went there anyway. It smelled really nice and it was cool to look around. It was very clean and polished everywhere, and I liked the suitcase displays that they had going through the center of the building. As I continued to walk around 5th Ave, I saw a store selling the same camera I was filming with. That's funny. Then I saw the Skims store and I popped in for a second. It was nothing special. And finally, I made it to my next stop, St. Patrick's Cathedral. This church is an absolute work of art. It is so stunning and definitely worth a visit. My plan was to go to the New York Public Library next, but my feet were burning and I was getting hungry, so I stopped at McDonald's to grab some food. Can't beat a $10 meal like this, honestly. Always hits the spot. After eating, I hopped on the subway and headed back to the hostel. Along the way, I decided to check out the Glossier store. I love how elegant and unique all their stores are. It had lots of beautiful details and unique items you can only purchase at the Soho location. However, I decided to buy their classic pink hoodie and a makeup bag. With my purchase, I was given 2 tokens to play the claw machine while I waited for my order. I swear these things are rigged, that should have worked. A girl that went after me actually did win something though, so maybe it's a skill issue. Okay, heading back to Nolita Express now. Home sweet home, yay! I took a nap and decided to make my last stop of the day Insomnia Cookies. It was raining a bit, but I decided I didn't need an umbrella. I started to regret that decision quickly though, as I started to get soaked with the cold rain. I only got 2 cookies once I got there, salted caramel and peanut butter cup. The total came out to $10. It's a bit steep for just 2 cookies, but everyone says they're better than crumbles, so let's see. For anyone wondering about the safety of New York City at night, honestly, I felt very safe considering how many other people were still walking around. We're back at the hostel now. I tried to pick up the cookie, but this is all that stayed in my hand. They break apart very easily. As far as taste, they're pretty good. They are better tasting than crumble, but honestly, I could make these at home. They're pretty basic. The 2 flavors tasted pretty similar. I would rate them both like a 6.5 out of 10. Crumble is better in my opinion regardless though. Not taste-wise, but in every other way. Packaging, visually, flavor-wise, store looks nicer. Anyway, that wraps up the night. Thanks for spending the day with me. And here's a list of all the stops I made for anybody wondering. Thanks for watching!